Wow. This is, hands down, my favorite pistachio ice cream. Welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. And today we're gonna make a super easy and delicious pistachio ice cream. And we're gonna make it right in the Ninja Foodi cold and hot blender. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get the milk and the cream mixed with the pistachios. And I wanna infuse the flavor of the pistachios into the cream. We're gonna do that using the mixer function. So I'm gonna put in 2 cups of heavy cream. 1 cup of whole milk. I really do recommend using the whole milk in this recipe because otherwise it could be a little bit icy. And 1/2 of a cup of shelled pistachios. Now I make this really easy on myself and I buy the bag that's already shelled for me. So it's super easy to do. But you could use, the regular kind with the shells on them and just take them out of the shells. All right, there we go. So that goes in. Put the lid on the blender here. And we're gonna turn it on and we're gonna go ahead and hit the mixer function. All right, so the initial blending is done. Now it's going to heat up and it's going to continue to blend periodically throughout this cycle. Now, if you don't have the mixer function, because I know some of the models are different, and I believe in the UK, you guys don't have that function, but don't worry about it. You can still make this, no problems. I have created a Ninja Foodi blender guide that I'm going to link to below in the video description for you so that you can go over to my website and get that. And it will outline exactly what the mixer function does and at what time. And then you can use the manual functions to recreate that. So it's just a little bit of heat and a little bit of blending, and we're gonna get the pistachios infused into the cream. Then we will pour the entire mixture into a container and get it into the refrigerator to chill for about an hour. And that finishes up the process of getting that pistachio flavor into the cream. Then we strain it, we add some more ingredients, whip it up and get it frozen up. So this is a really, really super easy recipe, and oh my gosh, it's so delicious. If you haven't tried pistachio ice cream before, give it a try. It's amazing. All right, so we're down to the last few seconds of our mixer cycle. And as soon as it beeps, I will open the lid and get it into here and get it into the fridge. There we go. All right. You can see it's taken on kind of a beige color there. And all of the pistachios are down on the bottom, so I am gonna use a long spatula to get down there. I want that mixture in this container because it's gonna help get more pistachio flavor in. And after it chills for about an hour, then I will show you the rest of the ingredients because there are a few things that you do need to add to really get a real pistachio ice cream flavoring. And it might surprise you what it is. All right, so I've had the mixture in the refrigerator for about an hour and it's cooled down some. I mean, it's not totally cold. You could leave it in there overnight if you wanted to and then take it out, but it's gonna be fine. So now I wanna strain it. So what I'm gonna do is just pour it directly into my fine sieve strainer right over the blender. And we're not gonna put any of the crushed up pistachios because they're really soggy. They're gonna give a weird texture to the ice cream, but we will be putting in some nice and crunchy pistachios into the ice cream in just a minute. All right, so I told you earlier on that there's a kind of a, I don't know if it's gonna be a surprise to you or not, but it was kind of a little bit of a surprise to me when I found this out years ago. But the flavoring in pistachio ice cream really comes from almond, okay? So the pistachios never give that flavor that we know and love in a pistachio pudding or pistachio ice cream or pistachio cake, anything like that. So we use almond extract or almond bakery emulsion is what I'm going to use. I also use 2 tablespoons of amaretto. And the reason why I do that is because it does give that almond flavor, but it also, the alcohol in it also prevents the ice cream from freezing super, super hard. So it's scoopable right out of the freezer. You don't have to let it sit. You can absolutely omit this. 100%, no problems there at all. You just might have to let your ice cream sit out for a few minutes before you scoop it, but it'll be delicious. And you could either go, I'm gonna use a teaspoon of the bakery emulsion, so you could maybe do a teaspoon and a half or a teaspoon and a quarter. You can actually taste the mixture and see if it's, when it's the right flavor for you. All right, now the other thing we're going to use to keep this ice cream from getting icy, because that's one of the things when you're not making an ice cream that's churned, which it's constantly, it's a frozen bowl and it's a paddle and you've got ice around it, and some of them are electric, and they're churning air in and it's staying really cold and it's freezing the ice cream fast. That is what prevents those ice crystals. But since we're not going to do that, we're just going to be pouring it into containers to freeze. We need to do something else to help prevent the ice crystals. Sometimes I add eggs. Sometimes I add eggs and the xanthan gum. And sometimes, like today, we're just going to do the xanthan gum. So this is 2/3 of a cup of sugar and 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Now, it's very important that you mix the xanthan gum with the sugar. You can't just dump this right into the blender or it would start to gel immediately. You could also, if you wanted to heat the mixture up, you could even use cornstarch to be a little bit of a thickener. But I found this was really easy because you can add it cold. It doesn't need to be heated. It can be heated. It won't lose its potency. So I just find it a good choice to use. Also, it is easily found. So even if you've never heard of it or seen it, I just saw it the other day at Walmart. So it's become pretty popular, so it's easily found. So that's why I decided to use it in most of my ice cream recipes now. Okay, so get this really well mixed up. Looks like we are good to go here. Just press out any extra there. Oh, yum. All right, looks good. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add in the amaretto, the sugar, and 1 teaspoon of the bakery emulsion. And I get this from Amazon, so I will definitely link to it down in the video description. See, it's a thicker. This is great for making flavored icings and things because, the alcohol in some extracts don't do that well when you're mixing it with certain ingredients. So they work really well. All right. So we're going to go ahead and put the lid on. We're going to turn the blender on. I just got a whiff. It smells so good. That almond, oh my gosh, it's amazing. All right, and we're gonna go to the ice cream function. All right, so at this point, you could certainly take your ice cream mix out and pour it into shallow containers. But it's not quite the right color for pistachio ice cream, so I'm gonna add just a little bit of food coloring. Totally optional, you do not have to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and select the blend on low. All right, let's see what it looks like. I put about 7 drops of food coloring in, so let's just see. Yep, that looks good. So that's a green color of pistachio. All right, so now I've had these in the freezer, although they're already starting to thaw. It just helps for the ice cream to freeze a little bit faster. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill up my 2-cup one first. And I only want to go about 2/3 of the way because I want to add pistachios. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish it off in this tray. I do recommend using shallow trays, but you don't have to use like the freezing tray like I have from Pampered Chef. I do recommend metal though. It does help a little bit with ice crystals because it freezes a little faster. And this one's going to freeze really fast because it's so... you know, there's hardly any depth to it, so it's going to freeze pretty fast. All right, so now for the fresh pistachios. So I use about another 1/2 cup. You could cut them up if you wanted, you know, crush them up a little bit. I just don't usually worry about it. I just sprinkle them right on there. So about 1/4 cup for each tray. Obviously, I'm not really measuring this. So good. So good. All right. And then usually I'll just take a little, I like to get them down in the ice cream. I find that they freeze a little bit firmer and so they keep a crunch, which I like. I don't like the nuts when they get soggy, so push them down a little bit. This looks so good. And then it goes into the freezer for 6 to 8 hours. All right, there we go. I like to cover mine with parchment. You certainly don't have to. Gosh, that looks so good. Oops, I think I used the wrong one. I had one measured out, but anyway, no big deal. I'm just gonna set this right over top. Some of it's not covered, no problem. All right, there we go. Pop them in, and then in 6 to 8 hours, we will scoop it and give it a taste. All right, so this is the time we've been waiting for. Let's taste the pistachio ice cream. It looks beautiful. I'm not seeing any ice crystals. I just love that. So I'm gonna peel off the parchment. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. It's the perfect color. But again, you don't have to add the food coloring. All right, looks great. Let's check this one out here. Perfect. All right. Okay, scoopability. Now, in my test batches, this ice cream scooped so beautifully. So, fingers crossed, let's do it. Now, this is straight out of the freezer, okay? So, just out of the freezer. Then Jeff just hit record and we went for it. So, this is totally frozen, no waiting time. I love that. All right, let's see about this one. Yep. Now this one's a little bit harder, I will say, and that's probably because it's a little bit deeper, but still, I mean, it's beautiful. Ooh, I'm so excited. All right. So, perfect scoopability, which I love. Now let's taste it, because that's the most important thing. I love these chunks of pistachios. All right, here it goes. Wow. This is, hands down, my favorite pistachio ice cream. I usually get the one from Ben & Jerry's, but I will never be buying it again. This is so easy to make, and it is so delicious. Oh, like I said before, if you haven't tried pistachio ice cream, give it a try. It is so, so delicious. All right, I hope you enjoy this one.